Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audio-visual channel. My name is Gabriela Handel. I'm a draftsman, and today I bring you a casual Sunday episode where I will talk to you a little bit about um, digital art versus traditional art and AI-generated art. Um, it's casual because I don't have the usual fancier camera setup because it's Sunday and I didn't want to put all that together and I didn't want to put the other stuff on me that I've been putting on for the conversation about art videos. And also it's extra casual because you can see all of this stuff behind me that's a little bit disorderly and disheveled back there in my studio. Um, yes, there's a variety of things back there, but anyway, um, yeah, you can see my studio. These are all works in progress and some finished drawings. There's a scanner under here. This is some of the resin stuff I have pending still. A bunch of paperwork back here and a garment of clothing. Is a drawing, another drawing back here. All right, can't point at stuff on the camera. Okay. Right. So anyway, and well, just for a change in general, right? Okay. So yes, I'll be musing a little bit about digital tools versus analog tools because I've been wanting to talk about that for a while, and the newly present on the scene, I guess, AI art, AI generated art. Um, and I have some notes on my laptop screen here. All right, so well, here we go. And do remember to like this channel and like this video and to share it and subscribe to my audiovisual channel because a conversation about art is really quite enjoyable for me to do, and um, I do want to share that. I do want that to reach a lot of people. So anyway, and maybe you also find, and hopefully you also find the thoughts in this video also interesting enough to share. Okay, so let's start with a muse about digital versus analog tools for making art. Okay, so I generally find myself being hesitant about digital tools. And why is that? Well, I've seen one or two tablets and I've interacted with a tablet, and I don't care for the plastic feeling of it. I think that's probably my biggest issue with the tool, with the device. And the surface of the tablet for drawing, and even if it's an iPad that has Procreate and this stuff, it's still like a very smooth glass or plastic acrylic surface. And then the tool that one uses to draw is the stylus, which also has a plastic tip or nib, as I think they're called in the industry. And these two things, the friction between these two things, the way they slide against each other is not, I don't care for that at all. And I think that's probably my biggest issue with the drawing tablets. And well, they're completely different materials from charcoal, graphite, on paper. And similarly, in the case of drawing, I don't even care for plastic drawing surfaces with graphite or charcoal. I tried Mylar once and I didn't like it. And also, one time I came across a paper by Strathmore that was really, really polished. It was regular fiber, tree fiber paper, plant fiber paper, but it was very, very polished. And I didn't, so polished that it was like kind of glossy, and I did not care for that either. And if you're curious about how that works, the way that it works is that those rolls of paper are passed through metal cylinders, and they're like rubbed against those metal cylinders in order to polish the surface. And so like depending on how polished the surface is, like that's how you get more or less tooth in your paper. Sometimes, I don't know if that's always applicable, but that's sometimes what it is. And so like that's how that surface, I don't know what the name of the paper was, but I don't care for the plastic feeling, like that very smooth feeling. Don't care for it. So that's probably my main, just the main dislike. I don't like the way that it feels. And so it's obviously very different from the tip of the graphite pencil versus the charcoal pencil, which both are already porous to some extent. And then that rubbing up against a porous surface of paper, then that obviously has much more friction. And so like I enjoy the feeling of that friction when I'm making drawings. This does not exist when one uses a digital tablet. Although I have been told that there are also sheets of plastic that one can put on the tablet in order to imitate the tooth of the paper, and then that chews away at the plastic nib, obviously, because it's friction and it's gonna rub it away. But then I haven't experienced it, so I can't preemptively say that I don't like it, but I can't imagine that it's really very much different in terms of it feeling like plastic. But maybe I shouldn't be so cutting on that part, again, because I haven't tried it firsthand. But yeah, not sure. Okay. Yes, digital tools versus analog tools. Well, each one obviously has its own pros and cons. I think it's interesting and cool about the drawing tablets that there isn't the the piles and piles of paper, and like if you ruin the paper, in the case of drawing, if you damage the paper because you erased too much, or it's stained, because that's what happens when you use charcoal or graphite over it. You can't erase because it got stained, this type of stuff. You stain the paper with the side of your hand when you're drawing. Such things don't exist when you have a tablet, and I suppose that can be appealing. And it's I guess it can be argued that my bias in favor of graphite and charcoal over paper is really just the familiarity that I have with it. I don't know if I was starting at this point in my life and I wanted to start to draw to make art now. I don't know if I would be drawn to the digital tablets, to the digital drawing tools. That's kind of impossible for me to tell. But then at the same time, it's pretty common or par for the course that the drawing tablets, and I think Photoshop also, and I think also Illustrator actually, have this thing where the marks that one makes on the tablet with the stylus are pretty serious imitations of those that one makes with a pencil, a pen, or a brush. So I'm not entirely sure why that is appealing to a person that makes art, or that wants to make art, because it's like, if you want to make those marks, then it makes more sense to go to the direct source instead of going to something that imitates the source. I don't understand, maybe you can tell me in the comments what, if you use if you use drawing tablets, like why does that appeal to you? Um, and I guess other than not staining the paper and not throwing away a paper if you give up on the first drawing that you made or something. Um, and yeah, I guess something else I don't care for is that, and it might be that I wasn't able to kind of sync the tablet that I was using properly with a stylus or something, but it didn't seem like the stylus was the stylus and the screen of the tablet, or I don't know how to explain this, okay? But it's like when I would draw something on the tablet, it seemed like the mark appearing on the tablet was just like barely delayed, and it's like not directly on top either, because there's like the separation of glass or plastic between the stylus and where the mark shows up on the tablet. So like I find that really confusing and just not really confusing, but a little bit disorienting at least, because obviously when you're using graphite and charcoal or pen or brush, there's no question that there's direct contact. So, well, again, if you use tablets, maybe you can tell me if that was difficult for you to get used to, or you have no problem because you know how to sync your tool. um, Something like that. Yes, that would be very interesting. So please go ahead and do that in the comments because I want to know. Right, so I guess just being able to I talked, I think for like a second episode of a conversation about art, talked with an artist who indeed uses a tablet very often, and even though he favors drawing with graphite, his like day job is with the tablet. So he said that the undo button, which is the universal control Z, can be very useful. And it turns out that the styluses also have something that imitates the eraser at the end of the pencil, and that he would try to use that. But anyway, I guess what I was trying to say is that looks kind of like a pro, because what you're erasing is perfectly erased. That's like a risk when each time that you make a mark on the paper, that it may or may not. I don't know how the chemistry of that works, but I have like a handful of erasers from different brands and stuff that I keep on hand, because sometimes one will not erase and maybe even stain the friggin' thing and spread it, and then another one will take care of it, even once it was spread out by the previous eraser. I don't know how that works. I don't know how the chemistry of that works. But anyway, that seems like an appealing thing. And I suppose the tablet maybe makes it seem like there is less risk of ruining the drawing that you're trying to make, or maybe, I don't know. I personally like that like challenge, even if I do think it's like scary anyway. I do find it scary. It's like lots of times you probably have heard that the scariest thing is like an empty sheet of paper. But I don't know. It's also liberating in a way with all the freedom that one has there, no? Okay. Yes, so I want to muse a little bit more about the imitative aspect of the drawing tablet, because it reminds me, and I've mentioned this before in episodes of a conversation about art, that the tool is imitating as best as is being programmed to imitate as best as it can those analog marks that come from either a brush, a charcoal pencil, a graphite pencil, I don't know, a ballpoint pen, but maybe. I'm not that familiar with that. And also, I have seen them in Photoshop in the past and still in the present. And I think this imitation is a way for the tool to learn. And it reminds me of the way that humans learn everything they do, because that's how we learn how to talk, and that's how we learn how to behave. And even if we more or less learn our behavior, the behavior that we're supposed to, in quotes, have into adulthood, it's like one still will imitate other people even as a mostly formed adult. Because, for example, like the repetition of things that have been said in the news that are perceived to be the accepted thing because all of the news media seem to say it, it's like that is also imitating, because that imitation is a part of both like understanding and fitting in, because we want to fit in, because we want to be a part of something, because we have to hang out together, you know. So maybe for the tablets, it's not like that deep. Like, it doesn't have to be a part of a society the way a human does. But actually, now that I just said that, maybe it kind of does, because it wants to be accepted by the artists as a tool, or by whomever. What's it called? Concept art and video game art and all of that stuff. You know, when it came along, it wanted to be used and accepted by those, or, you know, the people who manufactured it wanted it to be accepted by just people in general. But anyway, that's a little tangent, because it kind of just occurred to me, and I think it seems like a really interesting point. But I think, yes, that imitation is a way of learning. So in the case of art, artists really quite often, depending on the artistic education, but it's pretty common for the artist to, when they're learning to make art, either in school or by themselves, you know, self-taught, that they will just start copying things that they like, imitating and copying things that they like. I remember myself copying drawings from comics and cartoons. I really liked Saint Seiya when I was younger, for example. In other comics, there's I don't remember the name right now. Anyway, and actually, there's an Argentinian comic that I really like to this very day, and I remember drawing it. The comic's name is Mafalda, and I would draw the characters. And then when I was a bit older and was a bit more artistic, then I would imitate. I didn't copy exactly necessarily the way that I would do with the cartoons, but I imitated the styles of other artists that I like. For example, like who I still like today, Luis Arroyo and Dorian Clevenger and Boris Vallejo, not so much, but a little bit. But anyway, I wouldn't reproduce their work necessarily, but I did make work in their style, like in terms of subject matter and kind of a little bit in the appearance. And then when I was in undergrad, I had a whole semester that was just making master copies. So in that case, it's definitely more like trying to reproduce the work of the masters, to try to understand what they were doing and try to figure out how they were doing it, this type of stuff. So that imitation is a way of learning also. And again, that's also how we learn how to talk. You know, because the baby starts just repeating that which he or she hears all the time, and then they start saying the word until the parent is like, oh my god, yes, I understand you, you know, something like that. I don't know, because I don't have children. But something like that. So there's definitely something to that imitation in terms of the digital tool learning how to do things. And I think I kind of see it as a learning phase for it. And I'm curious and excited to see what will come out of that in terms of I have no imagination. Like, I can't even speculate about what would come after a tool imitating. I can't speculate about what would be the outcome, what would come after a digital tool imitating analog tools. I don't. But I think it's very interesting to think about. It might take a while, it might not be in my lifetime or whatever, but I think it's really quite interesting to think about it that way. Okay, so I think that then takes me to talking about the AI generating images, because I also think they're doing something of the sort with imitating. But okay, and I have my notes here on the laptop. And well, I guess I want to start with what I won't talk about regarding the AI generated images before going on to the other thing. Because there have been lots of videos on the subject already that I think cover the legal things much better than I do. And no, I'm not talking about the ones that are against AI generated images based on alleged illegal arguments, because those are super whiny and terrible videos. Really inaccurate as well. I'm going to link to a very thorough video by Shadiversity, I don't know how to pronounce it, okay? But it was a very thorough, straightforward video with lots of examples for all of the points, basically. And well, there's another slightly shorter video, and I'm gonna put that one because I like the point it makes about how whenever, and it's like a thing of the life that we live in the present, that whenever you use Instagram or Twitter or Mail, Google Mail, or Hotmail maybe, I don't know, but you know, the iPhone, right, I'm not sure, you know, there's like lots of those things, but like all of those things have terms and conditions. And in those terms and conditions, and not that I have read them, and you probably haven't either, but there is information there about the images that are uploaded and shared via those, you know, Facebook, all social media platforms, about the images that are uploaded there. It's like they are basically just not exactly public property, but because they can be publicly viewed in a way, not the Google ones, but sort of. That's why those images have kind of fallen, sort of, into the hands of the AI generators. And that's how that happened. And it's like, okay, that happened. Everyone agreed to it, basically. And that's why we can't whine about that. And that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, I think those two videos are really good, and I happened upon them after having listened to several of the whiny videos about how it's illegal. And Shadiversity's video does mention what is illegal. I mean, you should just watch it because it's good. Okay, so we were talking about the imitation as a segue thing, and the AI generators do better imitation in a way of not just marks, but maybe behavior, in terms of like the way that it makes art, the way that it generates images. Because okay, now that I'm, you know, I have notes and everything, but like now that I'm thinking about it, new things are coming up. And actually, you know what? It's a chilly New York day. Less chilly than yesterday, but still chilly, so I'm gonna wear this on top of the outfit that or you know, house outfit that I have here. Alright, just give me a minute. So, okay. Right, imitation, the AI imitating the humans. or really programmed to imitate and then doing what the humans tell it to. Because I think that's an important point that everyone, not, that we seem to forget when it comes to these devices. The device is doing what we tell it to. So it's like a separation of the tool versus the individual using the tool. It's different. Because obviously the tool can't do anything on its own. But anyway, okay, imitation. Let's see. So, okay, maybe I can start with the way the AI uses imagery. And I was thinking a little bit about this, the comparison, because it has been mentioned that it's the same as what humans do, and it kind of is, basically. Because what it does is that it looks into, I'm describing it as if I know exactly what happens, but it seems to take like an amalgamation of images and then kind of make a new image based on the prompt and based on the source images. And that is not that dissimilar from a person doing something of the sort. And also nature does something of the sort, in the sense that every time that nature iterates a new individual of anything, whether it's a tree, whether it's a new little animal, whether it's a new little person, a new flower, even though groups of flowers and people and plants and animals have a group of characteristics in common, each individual one is still different. They're not all exactly the same. Like, you can tell the difference between dogs, for example, even if they're the same sort of dog, that even if they're the same breed. So that aspect is just present in nature, and that's definitely what AI art is doing, because even though it's using existing source material, that which it generates is always a new thing. Even if it's only slightly different, it's still a new thing. And then, well, what I was talking about a little while ago in terms of when an artist makes new work, is learning and is in the middle of the imitating phase of learning, the person will, perhaps for a little while, copy things as best as the person can, and then very likely move on to make changes, like exploratory in a way, to see just what, I wonder what this character would look like if he was doing this. Then the artist tries to do that. So I think that's definitely a similarity, but a difference in that same aspect is that the pool of information, the pool of images that the AI generators have is limited. In the sense that it only has the things that all humanity have put on the internet. I don't know how far back, but not that far back. Versus the pool of information and images that humans have, which is infinite and unknown. I'm arguing that it's infinite because we basically don't have record exactly of, all right, maybe that's not exactly it. We have been storing images and information in our brain basically since we were born, even if it's not remembered, even if you don't remember it immediately, or even if you have to be like hypnotized in order to kind of pull out the information is there. And also there is, of course, the kind of like generational information, in the sense that why does everyone like plants? Why does everyone like some kind of animal, at least? It's probably because that is what all humans in all history have had a relationship with. And, we seek those things out because they're part of our survival and just being alive and surviving. I just lost the thingy I wanted to say. All right, just give me a minute. right, the imitation. Oh, right. So, all right. So then that, in the case of the humans, that is just the visual information, because we also have all of the sensory information, the taste, tasting, auditory, skin. What else? There are five senses. Smell. So then all of that information, I'm pretty sure, is also part of the bank of information when we go to make something. You know, even if we're making visual art, it's like I'm sure those things somehow make their way into the images that we make, into the music that we make, into anything that we make. So the the AI generators, at least for now, have no such access to that information. At least the sensory one, because it's like, maybe if we can incorporate like a visual thing into the devices, then maybe someday a sensory one can be added. I don't know. The thing is that at least for now, the pool of information of the AI generators is very limited compared to that of humans, and I think that's an important difference. Not to mention that the process of making something is really very, very different, because it's like, okay, I mean, I think, I don't know anything about programming. Like, I don't know how the device is programmed so that it makes like an amalgamation of the images or whatever. But the entire procedure of a person having an idea, or seeing a plant and then wanting to go and make something that's somehow related to the plant, or like all of their past, it's like that process is unknown. And I mean, I don't want to use the word inspiration, but I guess that's kind of what it is. Um, but I still think there is a similarity. And another similarity is strictly visual, I guess. Because if you observe while the generator is making the image, it starts with some not muddy, like really big stains, and then they start getting smaller, they slightly change shape, and then they start getting refined and more refined until the image is done. And so like that is basically the same way that we draw when we draw not anything necessarily, but it's definitely pretty commonly taught in drawing. When you teach somebody drawing, when you're drawing the figure or whatever, is that you start with bigger shapes, and then you start making them smaller, and you start cutting into your shapes, and then you start refining it and polishing it. So like that is another similarity. Right. So let's see, what else? Yeah, so this part about the AI generators imitating humans in terms of the inspiration or the way that we operate when we look at other images in order to make more images. It's like the whiny videos were like borderline offended by this, and it's like, no, of course it's not the thing. And it's like, no, it's not the same. It's not another human doing it. It's a device that we are trying to teach it to do the thing. But there's a lot of similarities, and I think that is undeniable. And all right, let's see. So the taking from images that already exist, I mean, yeah, so that's a big issue. All right, I'm repeating myself, but anyway, that's a big problem, and I want to reiterate that you watch the Shadiversity video, because I think he does a really good job explaining why it's not illegal or a problem. And it's a reminder for us to be honest with ourselves when we make our own work. Because I've heard the argument, that's one of the arguments that I heard about, or argument or statement or whatever, of, yeah, why don't you compensate the artists whose work you're using as inspiration? And it's like, if you make work, if you're an artist, and you tell me that you both acknowledge and compensate every source of information, it's like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I agree, of course, with crediting your sources if you have like, if you know that you have like a direct source. It's like I myself more than once have used an image as a reference and I wasn't copying it. I was just using elements from it that I liked because I liked the pose or I liked the facial expression or I liked the expression of the features or something like that. And even though I'm not copying it or reproducing it, I'm still referencing that in that case. And so like if I know what the direct source of information is, then I credit it. And it's like if I'm able to find out the photographer and the model, then I credit both people. However, I don't think that that those individuals necessarily have to be compensated by me because I used their work to reference my own work. Not only because I'm not copying it, because it's like, not only because I'm not reproducing it exactly or copying it, but also because it's like, you know, like what would the logistics of that be? It's like, do I have to first compensate them in order to then use the image? Or then do I have to first sell the work and then from that give them like a commission? I personally find that to be absurd because that is not the way that creation works. And it's like if you, I mean, and that is really not, that is applicable not just to visual art. That's applicable to everything. That's applicable to everything we do, everything we say, the way we dress, our behaviors. And, you know, if you as an artist don't want anything or anyone or anything to refer to your work ever, then just don't publish anything ever. Don't ever show it to anyone. Don't put it in a gallery, don't publish it on Instagram, don't show it to your friend out of your textbook, just don't, because then it's like, each time that we look at something like that is a seed that may or may not become something, and that may or may not inspire someone else to want to make an image. And I, again, would like to reiterate that you as an artist are lying to yourself if you think that you're going to give money to every single source of inspiration. It's like, I don't believe you. And I don't think anyone should have to do that at all, necessarily. And well, this isn't just with the AI, because I've definitely seen on Instagram people who take self-portraits and especially for photography, like for people who do bondage, like they have on their on the bio, it's like, don't use my images without my permission. And it's like, I think the way that applies is that, you know, don't take that image to make prints of it and sell them. That's how I understand that. But then it's like, if the person means that they don't want you to ever refer to their work for a drawing or a painting, or even maybe like an homage to that image via a film or another photography session, that's fucking absurd and really hypocritical. It's like, you can make the thing but other people can't, as if you originated the idea of putting somebody in bondage or whatever it is and then taking pictures. It's like, that's absurd. And I think it's ridiculous. Okay. Let's see. Now let's move on to things that piss me off regarding AI generated art. And it's not it's not the device itself. It's just things that I have heard while learning about the AI generating devices. You know, with the whiny videos and everything, and other stuff that I know about it. So one of the things is the restrictions on the AI generators of words and images that cannot be used for whatever reason. I think that's really dumb and stupid. And I think it's dumb and stupid because it's The restrictions are on things that, at least for now, have been deemed to be negative and bad and evil. And, okay, maybe they are, but in order for great things to exist, terrible things need to exist. And amazing things happen because both good and evil things exist. And we derive benefit from evil things too. And if you don't think so, then I don't want to use the tactic of the whiny videos where the narrator was like, if you don't agree with this, you're delusional. But I guess I already have by saying that the other stuff earlier was absurd and dumb and stupid. But anyway, it's just like, you know, NASA happened because of the Nazis, for example. And it doesn't seem to be like necessarily like a direct relationship, but even if indirectly, it's like still. And, you know, science, we all benefit from science and the medical industry and medicines and hospitals. And all of those things have resulted from just tons of terrible mistakes, experiments on animals, experiments on humans, and everyone is something that everyone benefits from. And I'm trembling because I'm cold. And the heater is not on. And so it's something like that. The reason for which the AI should be allowed to just do what it will with everything. It needs everything to be able to evolve and become whatever it is that it's going to become. Because what it's going to become might be amazing. And if we are going to derive, I mean humans, everyone, if we are going to derive benefit from it, then the device has to be allowed to develop and evolve how it will. And putting restrictions on it is probably going to stifle that. And we're probably also then stifling whatever potential it might have. So, yes. You know, it's like, if you think Amazon is a piece of shit, then okay, but then you probably still have Amazon Prime, or you probably still watched and enjoyed Rings of Power, for example. Ring of Power, I don't know. Not watching that. But I'm just trying to illustrate the point that it's like this whole thing about being ethical by not using a word or thinking that it makes you wholly good, you're an angel suddenly, you can do no wrong. That's not how it works. It's not how it works, because within every individual there is the gamut of everything that exists between good and evil. And so the AI needs all of that as well to be able to become whatever it will become. Okay. The next thing that pisses me off regarding AI art is giving up art because of the amazing AI generated images. This is probably the thing that pisses me off the most. And why does it piss me off? Because I feel as though that is incredibly cowardly. And it feels as though whomever it is that gave up or is thinking about giving up making art because of the AI generated images was just looking for any excuse to not do it. You know, and even though it pisses me off, I also kind of get it in a way, because making art is not easy. Being an artist is not easy. It's also not easy to be alive. It's not easy to relate, to have relationships. It's not easy to have a job. It's not easy to look for a job. It's not easy to, nothing is easy. So like, if you're musing about choosing art as a thing to do, whether it's a hobby or whatever, and I guess this is relatively tangential, but at the same time, it's like, I don't, if you're thinking about making art, don't give up for a pussy ass reason, like thinking of it as competing with whatever AI is making, because it's not a competition. Okay, there's room and eyes for everyone, meaning that there's plenty of eyes to look at your work and the AI's work. And then it's up to the viewer who they will, whatever. But anyway, the thing is that if you're starting out, and even if you already have a bunch of experience, you should absolutely still continue to make art and stop whining about the AI generated images. Like, it's not a competition. And I guess that kind of takes me to the other argument that annoys me about AI being better than humans at making art. And that sounds like such a load of shit to me, because I guess, again, because it's not a fucking competition. And that might be because I'm a woman, and it's like the competition aspect is obviously different for men and women and for people within the different individuals. But meaning within the population of men and within the population of women, there are some men that are just like competitive about everything, and then women also compete in different ways, but whatever. The thing is that I guess I'm really speaking more for the way that I see art. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me, because the work that everyone makes is so different. It doesn't make sense to me for them to compete with each other. So unless you're making the same thing as someone else, or very similar, then it makes no sense to me that there could be a judgment of who is doing it better than the other person. So for example, if you're in a room where everyone is drawing the same model, then we can start talking about who is doing it better. But then it's like, if you don't even dabble in digital work, then you have nothing to worry about with the AI generated images. Just let the thing do what it does, and then you do your own pencil drawings, And then even if you are making using the AI generator to make work, it's like, it's perfectly possible that you will be able to polish your prompting and seeding skill to make unbelievable images as well. So I don't know. I think that the giving up and making art, and the argument that AI art will make better art than humans, they both have like this whole thing about competition that I just annoys me, and I think it's dumb. And yeah, you know what? At least the AI art isn't making a fucking stupid ass duct tape banana. Okay, so then that's cool with me. And it also makes me think that maybe we humans will finally freaking zip up the boots and the pants and start making beautiful shit again, instead of making joke shit like with the duct tape banana and whatever the fuck else. All right, because that stuff is a joke, and I would like it to be done with that, because it had its chance. Okay. Okay, so also in the aspect on humans making art, there's also the idea that we have, and just everyone, because I totally do this all the time, that if I don't have a single characteristic of another person, and this characteristic I think is really valuable and really good, and I don't have it exactly to the same level as they do, then I'm an absolutely useless piece of shit. Like, for example, if I see like what? Like, if I can't lift the same amount of weight as some other guy or something, then I'll be like, oh my god, I have to work out more or something. And that's a combination of two things, because it's like the impetus to want to be better is good, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, all right, keep it level. And it's like, first of all, that's a guy, and second of all, you can still polish your lifting. I can still polish my lifting skills. And then there's the other thing that I think is a more extreme example, which is kind of really what I was going for, which is like having one hyper-focused skill, and having only one skill is terrible for life, okay? Because we all know of these individuals that are basically calculators, but they're useless for anything else in life. And they can't live on their own. They need to be taken care of, they need to be fed, they need to be washed, because all they care about and all they want to do is multiply freaking a million numbers by a million numbers. So I think it's definitely very human that we admire this one skill that a person has and think that because we don't have it, then we're useless. And it's like, it takes a lot more. It's like, not only can you still be really good at something, but then, and still be good at life. And then if you're good at the one thing and just shay at life and being alive, that's a problem. And then it's like, all right, you can't be part of society anymore because you can't function by yourself and with others. So I think that's a shortcoming that we have when we look at machines and robots, that we think they immediately are better than us at everything just because the one, I don't remember the machine's name, can play chess super fast. And it's like, that's really cool and everything, but it's like, all right, that thing can only play chess. That's all the thing can do. It can't do anything else. So it's like, I think that's a flaw. Okay. So then let's move on to arguments in favor of AI art. There's a few things that I heard that I really liked in relationship to the AI generators. And this was thanks to Shadiversity's video, because he was very positive. And that's another reason for which you should watch that video for sure, because it's very positive and exciting. Okay, so the first thing is that AI art is a gateway to art. And it's really surprising to me that the whiny videos, it didn't even occur to them that AI generated art could be a gateway to art for people. It's like, it's probably the same people that are pussying out of art because they think the AI generators are too good. It's like, you know, maybe they will try the thing and then they'll get excited about it. And then maybe they'll start making art on their own after that. You know, it's like, why didn't they think of that? They don't want to have more competition still? Or something? I don't know. It just seems really short-sighted. Especially for people who like this whole democratization, accessibility, art for everyone argument. It's like, why isn't there more of that in the conversation about AI art? It really seems to be sorely missing. I have not heard that really very many times at all. So anyway, Shadiversity in his video, he says that he has been drawing more since playing with the AI art generators. Because, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know how that works exactly, because I tried fiddling with the generator and I got impatient and I was like, I'm gonna draw now. You know, I'll do it with my hand. I don't have to like wait for the device to try to do what I'm trying to tell it to when I know exactly what I want, you know. But it is perfectly viable that the device is a gateway to art for a lot of people, which is a really positive thing if you think that art is for everyone, you know. In this democratization of art, I also wonder, like as an aside, not necessarily as a argument in favor of AI generated art, but just in general, I do wonder who are these people that want art to be for everyone, because a lot of people don't give a flying shit about art. They don't care. I mean, they don't care about looking at it. They don't care about making it. They don't care about it existing. It's not, because art isn't for everyone necessarily, because not everything is for everyone. You know, being a doctor isn't for everyone. Cooking isn't necessarily for everyone. Physical work isn't necessarily for everyone. You know, writing isn't for everyone, teaching isn't for everyone, parenting isn't for, you know, it's like not everything is for everyone. So then art is also not for everyone. So like, I don't really understand that part of it. And also, I think that art is plenty democratic already, because it's like, what is more accessible, immediately accessible than a pencil and a piece of paper? It's like, what do you get first in your life? Do you get a pencil? I know this is a pen. What do you get first, a pencil, or do you get a phone in your life? It's like, you get the pencil first. the pencil is way cheaper, you know, and it's like, um, with the AI generator, you have to have some kind of electronic device, like a computer, a laptop, a phone, a cell phone device, a smartphone, and then you have to have the app. And a lot of them you have to pay for them, and others are free, but that's cool, obviously. But it's like, really, realistically, which one is more accessible? It's like, obviously, the thing that you can make marks with your hand on a piece of paper or any surface, really. So like, I guess that part I don't quite get, but uh, yes, I think that if anyone is interested in art in any capacity, that interest is going to lead them to the art. It doesn't matter what status in life they're in, they're gonna figure it out, because if you want the thing, then you go get the thing, basically. Um, and well, this is another point that isn't um, against or for the AI art devices necessarily, or I guess it is in favor of them, because it's like, I feel as though they have been, the AI art generators, they are talked about as if they're evil somehow, and the device is the one that's doing something wrong. And we must remember to separate the tool from the user of the tool. The AI is just doing what it's told, not just programmed, but with the prompt. Okay, so we have to remember that. It's like, if somebody is trying to usurp your style, it's not the AI generator doing it, it's a person using the tool doing it. It's different, and we must keep this in mind. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna start musing about a conclusion now. So I guess this kind of comes from the robots in general, the AI as a robot, being better at everything, being better than humans at everything. From the argument of the AI being better than humans at making art. And that reminds me of a robotic future like Isaac Asimov's style. And I haven't read all of his work or anything, but I have read lots of his robot stories, and I've read like 2 or 3 books of the Robots and Empire series. Robots and Empire is one of the books. I don't know what the series is called, but it's like 7 books. And in this series, there are kind of 2 kinds of humans. A group of humans that, thanks to technology and robots, live centuries now. And their life revolves around just having robots around them, and, you know, per household of 1 human, there are like fucking 50 robots or something just doing shit. And there are the other humans that are more like us, which have normal lifespans. You know, we get to 100 if we're lucky, and we're impetuous and we want to get stuff done because we're gonna die soon. You know, so like, that's kind of the attitude of both. The people who live with robots have insipid lives. Everything is done by the robots. And then the other shorter-lived humans are, they're impetuous, they reproduce a lot, they want to do stuff, they want to colonize the universe, and, you know, this type of stuff. And the long-lived humans are like, oh my god, you guys smell, stop reproducing like cockroaches, it's so annoying, don't colonize, please just stay on Earth, okay, please, you stink. And well, those are, you know, it's an interesting view of the future, of a possible future. And it's like that dichotomy of not having enough time, not having a lot of time to do stuff, and still getting a ton of shit done because, you know, you want to maximize your time, versus the other people living centuries and just everything about their lives basically revolving around the robots, because it's all about the management of the robots, the production of the robots, the appearance of the robots, the functions of the robots, disposing of the robots, and making new robots. You know, everything of the lives of these people that live centuries revolves around the robots. And then they can't do anything else because the robots protect them from hurting themselves and any risk, all of this stuff. So that is really very interesting, and I don't care for that future, that robotic future where the robots are there to prevent any and all risk, where I can't even like clean my house or something because I might breathe chlorine or something, you know? So I don't think the AI generators are going to replace humans in making art. If we all remember, or maybe you don't know or care about art history, but when photography came along, artists were just having a conniption fit also, like now. They're like, oh no, art is obsolete, artists are obsolete, or whatever. And it has kind of settled in to just being another tool that analog artists use just as well, and it became its own medium, photography, I mean, because it's like, I reference photographs all the time. There are other artists who figure out their entire image in a photograph and then they just copy the photograph exactly in the canvas. I really, that pisses me off, but whatever, that's besides the point. The thing is that, there's plenty of room for everyone, and even to this very day, if you remember those kind of so-so portraits of the Obamas, okay, those are painted by hand with a brush and paint, okay? And it's like, even the same people hiring artists to make work for them, it's like still the same rich people, high-class people like the Obamas, paying for artists to paint their portraits. So not much has changed, even though there are still digital tools readily available at the hands of everyone. Like the people who actually support artists, by the way, which are the people who support artists are the ones that pay artists with money for their original works, okay? Or, like the merch or whatever. But the people who give artists money, those are the ones that support artists, all right? And so it's the same people from the past, the quote-unquote high-class bourgeois, whatever you want. It's like, those are the ones that support artists, and they are still doing it. So, there's plenty of room for everyone, even though that chess playing device beats everyone super fast. Everyone else is still playing chess. Everyone is still playing chess. We're all still taking pictures. Everyone is still playing with the AI art, and then the AI art generators will settle into the just pool of available mediums that an artist can use to make images. And I personally find it kind of exciting to wonder what it will become once it's done trying to make art. Or, just making art, because it already is. In fact, in the Shadiversity video, he said something about how the reason for this AI art generating stuff is so that cars could drive themselves, because we are not exactly at the point of the car driving itself yet. It's like, you still have to, pay some attention. And that kind of makes a lot of sense, because driving a car, it's like lots of things are happening when you're driving a car. And it makes kind of makes sense that you would need all of the information on the internet in order to teach a machine how to drive a car. All right. So I think I'm done with that. And I'm going to link both videos that I think are the best ones to talk about Shadiversity's video in general about AI generators. And he also covers pretty well the illegal aspects of things. And, well, I think that's going to be it. Please remember to like this video and share it so more people can tell me things about the questions that I had earlier, and just in general on the subject, in the comments. Remember to also subscribe to my audiovisual channel, because, well, I am going to record more a conversation about art videos, and I'm thinking about doing tutorials, because you guys, I made these props for drawing portrait. So look at this one. This is an eye that I made with Super Sculpey. How cool is that? That one. And I'm now working on this mouth. This one isn't baked yet, but I'm working on this also to teach portrait. And I'm thinking of making some videos on the subject. So anyway, subscribe to my channel, and I hope that you liked this video. Thank you very much, and have an absolutely fantastic day.